Saunders with PAC-B TV, Baldwinville, New York's public access channel. And Shelley, I am so excited that you came on the show and agreed to do it because you're usually the one doing the interviewing. And I just moved to the area and I want to know, so who the heck is Shelley Hoffman? Because you're everywhere.
I don't know if I'm everywhere, Lisa, but I definitely have enjoyed doing the interviews for PAC-B, and I've met so many experts, I guess, and I've learned so much about the community by doing it. So I'm just blessed that PAC-B allows me to come on and pretty much chit chat with people. It used to be on a Tuesday morning. Now we're virtual because of the pandemic, but I love being a part of PAC-B. So thanks for asking me to be on this seat instead of that seat.
The first time I ever met you, I don't know if I moved here yet. I moved here in December, but I met you at the Beeville Diner. So Cindy Clark had introduced us, and so now I've been addicted to the rice pudding. I don't know if they're, I hear they're open again. I think they're open again for takeout. But anyway, so maybe I'll see you around town, but I don't think I met you at a chamber event. Do you go to a lot of chamber events, or where do you go to meet all these people that you interview?
So for the most part, it was through the chamber. My day job, I guess what people say pays my bills, is I'm a real estate agent here in the village of Baldwinsville.
Oh, okay.
My girlfriend, Tracy Klein, and I were both at RE/MAX, and we switched from RE/MAX to opening our own place right here called 315 Realty Partners, which that has been a blessing. I've absolutely loved it. But probably the chamber meetings that you were attending and I was missing is, in real estate, we work when other people don't work. So if I can hit a chamber meeting, I do. And if if somebody wants to see a house or a home inspection or something's going on, then that's my priority, is my clients, in that business. So.
Right. Okay. Do you have a local office?
I do. I actually was looking in the village for a workshop or a classroom about a year ago, and I came across 12 Oswego Street, which I always say is the building with the broken clock in the middle of it, and there was a downstairs space that was kind of perfect. And I talked to the gentleman at the time, Jim, who owned the building, about leasing that space. And in the course of that conversation, because I am a real estate dork and I love shopping real estate. Some people like the mall, some people like, going and buying shoes. I personally love buying buildings and properties. So I talked to Jim and we came up with an agreement. So I actually purchased the building. Once I decided to purchase the building, I was like, okay, now what do I do with the building? And that's when the brainstorming of opening a brokerage with Tracy came into place. So the timing was perfect. So now we have a brokerage in the building, and I have a classroom and a workshop, which I call the Heart Home Community Room.
Oh.
In the building as well. So it's been a great year. I closed last fall, so it hasn't even been a year. But
what do you teach in this classroom, and what's Heart Home and Community? I've heard of it. What do you teach, or
what do I do? So Heart Home and Community just kind of encompasses a lot of what I do, and if you want, I can give you the background of how it was created.
I'm curious, because I quickly went on the website and I saw you have a lot of pictures of community members, and you're trying to make sure people all know about each other and what they're doing. But yeah, tell me about it.
So when I got into real estate, because everything that we do is kind of connected, when I got into real estate, a lot of the other agents at the RE/MAX office I was at said, you should do videos. Videos is the new way to go. You can do market analyses, you can do home tours, just get in front of people. You're a talker, you talk with your hands. That way when people are watching the videos, because there's movement, you'll be engaging. And I thought they were all kind of full of baloney, but I thought, you only learn and get better if you take classes. And I'm forever a student. I love taking classes and teaching classes. So I took something called Video Boot Camp up in Canada. And they talked about going out into the community and popping into a restaurant. And what does this restaurant, what do they do in the community? What's their favorite meal that they serve? They had like 35 questions. And the concept is you would do 30 restaurants in 30 days. And at the end of each video, you would talk about yourself in real estate. So it was kind of tying the two things together. And honestly, Lisa, it took me about 5 months after I did Video Boot Camp to get up the nerve to go into a business and talk about it. And of course, you start where you know people, right?
Right.
So what happened was I would go into Apparel Brothers, or I went into La Tresse by Renee. I went into the coffee shop, Emmett's place there, Shambhala, and I did this interview where they talked about their business, and then I said something about there's a 3-bedroom house on the market now in Baldwinsville. something just closed, if there was a business that was up for sale, something that would entice people about real estate and let them know that I was a real estate agent.
Ah,
So
wow, this is wonderful. I mean, because you're such a, like you said, a talker and you're interested in other people. So this is such a good fit because I get a lot out of your interviews. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that financial guy you were interviewing was fascinating. I'm like, oh dear, we need to know about this. So thank you for the questions you ask. I'm kind of curious, how do you come up with your questions? Or does it just happen on the top of your head?
it's just conversations with people. If you're truly interested in what people have to say, they're interested in telling what they have to say. The one little piece that kind of changed the Heart Home Community format was because of that, actually. I did a Cause to Celebrate. Are you familiar with the Cause to Celebrate, ladies?
No.
It's a nonprofit that they were supposed to have their event this past weekend for the Cal Schneider Foundation, and it had to be canceled because of the pandemic. But the year that I met them, they were doing the Vera House, and they gave me all this information about the Vera House and you know,
The what house?
the Vera House. And at the end, I was supposed to talk about the real estate market, and I thought, how do you talk about real estate and the Vera House in the same conversation? You just can't. So Heart Home Community became different than my real estate, and Heart Home Community really became about what's happening in the community and who can give you the information so the community knows what's going on. And I think it's because the questions that I ask are truly ones that I'm curious about.
Right, because if you want to know them, somebody else is going to want to know it too, and they just might not realize they want to know it.
Exactly. Yep. So so that is Heart Home Community. It's what's going on in the community and getting the information out there to other members who might be curious as well.
And how do you get the information out there? Is it through the interviews you do through PAC-B TV, or you do other interviews as well? Is that right?
Yep. So actually, I was doing other interviews prior to PAC-B, and then Cindy Clark came to a chamber meeting and said, we want to start getting information about the community and the people that are in the community. I think Marianne from Chambers came up with the Ask the Expert idea. So
yeah,
it was
that's a good idea.
A total collaboration.
Right.
And Marianne said, well, Shelley's already talking to people in the community. Why don't you at least get information from her and see? And when Cindy asked me if I wanted to do PAC-B interviews, I thought that would be awesome, because I'm talking to people that I know in the community, and there's
right.
a whole area of Baldwinsville that I don't know, and I don't know a lot about it. I'm not from here. So I've learned so much through PAC-B because they allow me to do those interviews.
Well, they're wonderful. I love them. So thank you for doing them. So how can people, is it your Facebook page, or where can people find this information that you're pulling together? Is there anything that we can get in our inbox, or is it Facebook, or how can we know what you're up to or what you're learning?
So for the most part, it's just been on Facebook. That was my starting platform. Next, we introduced Instanet, or not Instanet, that's a real estate term, Instagram. And then we did Instagram, and now we're putting stuff on LinkedIn, just because if people are moving into the area or they're traveling, you know, we want them to know what's going on here in Baldwinsville. You know, I recently actually had a conversation with you, and you had said something about newsletters, and I thought it's probably not a bad idea, because there's a lot of people not on social media, which is, again, the nice thing about PAC, because PAC goes on television. So
right.
people not on social media, you know, they find the information on television, which is awesome.
Yeah, because I just, how can people connect with you now, though? Just because we're talking, you mentioned a couple of different ways, but is there like one best way for right now where they can either give you their email address or at least like something or follow something? What do you think?
Sure. So because the company that I do almost all my community stuff is called Heart, Home, and Community, we shorten it to HHC because that's pretty long.
Right.
So you can, if you type in Heart Home Community on Facebook, it'll pull you to our Facebook stuff. But if you type in HHC Beeville in Google, it'll bring you to pretty much anything that I have. And, you know, certainly within the site, the Facebook site, you can private message me an email address. So if we start the newsletter, I would have your email address to send that information out. But Beeville HHC is usually the tagline that we use for shorthand within the within the company, I guess.
And so what kind of classes do you teach? Because you mentioned you had a classroom and you teach. What do you teach?
So I personally teach real estate classes. I teach how to do forms online, especially in the pandemic. It's important for you to be able to get the information to and from the clients for them to sign contracts and remove.
Okay, so you're teaching real estate agents.
I teach real estate agents, yes. And then the room itself is set up for anybody else to teach. So I've had someone come in and teach advertising on Facebook. I had someone come in and teach how to do a graphic, if you need a graphic design or if you can do the graphic designing yourself. We've had like kind of a person come in and talk about managing your feelings. So it's a community room. It's not necessarily a classroom. You can use it for pretty much anything that the community needs. Somebody had people in from out of state. They used it as a boardroom to have like a boardroom meeting.
Oh, okay.
There's a 75-inch smart television in there that can be hooked up with an HDMI cord. If you can connect to it wirelessly. There's training tables in there that can be folded up to get out of the room. So we did yoga in there a few times already, or the tables can be put up for different classrooms. A Cause to Celebrate, they do their monthly meetings every so often in the community room as well. And the building that I told you I purchased is called the Heart Home Community Building. And the Cause to Celebrate, they use that as their I don't know, street address, right? I let them store some of their stuff from event to event in the building. And then that's where they receive their mailing and things like that. So I want it to be a community building. Right now, Helping Baldwinsville is using a portion of it for their donation center. Anything that I can do if somebody needs space, that's kind of why I bought the building, is to be there for the community.
So you're like, I feel like you're the hub in this big wheel. Just for a short while. So you have another project you mentioned we could discuss, Honor a Senior. Can you tell me about that? Is that something we can get involved in, or if people want in the community do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little self-serving in the fact that I have a senior, so that's why my mind is geared towards this.
Yeah.
But I have a girlfriend. Our sons grew up together from probably 5th grade on, and they've gone their separate ways, but as moms, we've stayed connected, and she's very much, what can we do for these seniors? And back in Pittsburgh, where I'm from, they had a page called Adopt a Senior, Honor a Senior. So I took that idea to Casey. What it really is though, Lisa, is, these kids are not going to have a yearbook. And I said this to the messenger the other day. They're not going to have a yearbook in 20 years to go back through and read.
Oh my gosh, because of because I didn't know, because I'm not in that world. I don't know what seniors are missing right now, other than the rest of the school year is canceled, right?
Right.
Okay, so tell me what it does. I'm sorry, it's like shocking what's different about their lives. Okay.
We've been hearing for a while about missing the prom and missing walking across the stage, and those things are huge, and I don't want to downplay them. But I'm that person that goes back to read comments, or when the 20-year high school reunion's coming up, I pull out my yearbook, to remember.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll get a yearbook. It'll come to us in the mail, but they're not going to have anybody that signs it. Graduation parties. I mean, unless you have a party with squares for people to stand 6 feet apart, we don't know when we're going to have that either. And
right.
Those are the memories. Those are the cards that come in for the party, right? Like people give you a card, maybe with money in it, maybe not, but just well wishes.
Right.
Honor a Senior is a chance for these kids to have a different memory that nobody else has. It's for the community to support them. So as a parent or a guardian or family member with the parent, with the parent guardian's permission, they post a couple pictures, maybe their senior picture, maybe of them playing a sport or in the band or an art project that they did, something that showcases the student, and then writes a blurb. I call it a brag paragraph. Like, how amazing was your kid for the 12 years they were in school, 13 years they were in school? And then people in the community read that post, and sometimes it's a close family friend that says, I will adopt Christian, or I will adopt Grace, or I will adopt Bailey. But in other cases, I'll use the Beeville Diner, for example. The Beeville Diner had a senior working for them, Bailey. And when we put out this program, they said, we would have loved to adopt Bailey. So basically, Bailey's parents put up this profile, and the Beeville Diner adopted her. And what it means when you say you adopt a senior is you give them words of encouragement. it can be a care package. I adopted a senior through Heart, Home, and Community, and her mom told me she was into arts and drawing. So I made a care package. It wasn't expensive, but it was, you know, a sketchbook and some really cool drawing pencils. I did go to Robin Mack in the Village and get a candy basket, because what senior doesn't like a bunch of candy, and put that in there too. But it's just, I was talking to actually, you know, PAC-B, and I said, if there's somebody that's into videography or productions, how cool would it be if PAC-B reached out and said, we'd like to adopt this student, and you get encouragement from somebody who's in the field that you want to go towards, right?
Ah, so how do you get involved and find your senior? How do you do that?
So we have a page called Beeville Senior 2020, or if you type—
A Facebook page?
It's a Facebook page, yes.
Okay.
And if you go on the Facebook page, you will scroll through, and it's pretty equal. We'll have 5 kids that get posted to the page. I call it the brag post. And then as an admin, that's Casey, she will then take that post and share it, make sure it's shared on the page to kind of spotlight the student. And then when someone comments on the post, I want to adopt Lisa, then Casey, again, who's the admin, will connect the parent and the person that wants to adopt them, or the company that wants to adopt them, so that they can learn a little bit about the kid if they don't know them. And then the parent has the choice to either share their home information if they want the care packages dropped off there, or it can come to the community room. We're perfectly fine making the collection and then either delivering it ourselves or having the parent come pick it up. But we don't want anyone to do anything they're not comfortable with. So,
right. So, but listening, I'm thinking, okay, so if I was the senior, my parents would have to put me on there. Is that right? Yes. But then what if nobody wanted to adopt me or honor me, and I felt lost and lonely?
So, I mean, that's the beauty of our community. We're such a, I mean, we have a lot of people in here, but we have a small town mindset. And if we would see that a senior is not getting adopted and we're reading that post, I guarantee you that there's someone in this community that probably isn't aware of the page.
Right. Yeah.
I'll take you for an example. I know that you're an author, right? If I see a senior that's on the page and for some reason in the first few days hasn't been adopted and they want to write a book or they want to do something in publishing, I would message you and say, hey, Lisa, did you see this senior? He wants to be an author. She wants to be an author. It's going to touch somebody's heartstring.
Right.
Someone's going to relate to that. And we have yet to have a senior that has not been adopted, mainly because it's weird to say, but because of all the connections and things that I have in the community, that if I don't know somebody, you might know somebody. So I'll reach out to you, or Cindy Clark might know somebody. I'll reach out to her. But we have not had any problems at all with seniors not getting adopted.
Okay, that's good. Because all I can think of is, my grammar school years, I was always the last kid picked on a team. And I just still remember that, standing there, waiting for somebody to say my name.
So we do have things in place for that, so that will not happen.
Okay.
But I understand the fear of that, because that was our fear, and we said, what if this happens? Because the page is getting momentum, we did feel bad the first, I'd say 5 or 6 seniors who posted to the page, because people didn't know what it was and the word wasn't getting out there.
Right.
But we told them we have to have seniors on the page to promote what the page is. And now we do. A senior comes on the page, and a lot of times within minutes, hours, maybe a day, they're adopted, because we have so many people watching the page. And the other thing that we're getting now is there's a woman I do Rotary with, I'm in the Rotary Club with, and she sent me a message and said, there's a senior that I want to adopt, but she's not on the page. So that's the safe side of it. Then we reach out to the parents and say, we have someone that wants to adopt your senior. So, in that case, the parent doesn't have that worry, because the minute the senior hits the page, that person comes on and says, I want to adopt them. We've had people fighting over, oh man, I just missed it. I wanted to adopt her and somebody beat me to it. We have more of that problem than we do kids not actually getting adopted. So.
All right, well, that's good to know, because I got to make sure that underdog gets adopted.
Yeah.
So Shelley, you're just doing so much. So what else are you involved? You said Rotary. I want to hear all the organizations that you're kind of involved with, unless there's too many. But Rotary, what else?
Rotary, which is, an amazing club here in Baldwinsville. Rotary has a high school club at Baker called Interact. Katie Reep and Beth Chetney are the teachers that are involved in that. So I more or less just kind of assist them from the community side of it. My son's in Interact, and so is my 15-year-old daughter, Taylor. So I do stuff with the Interact Club. They've gone to the Ronald McDonald House and served meals. They were supposed to build beds for Sleep in Heavenly Peace, but that got postponed, because of the pandemic. So the Interact Club, obviously, I work with PAC-B. I'm involved in the First United Methodist Church in Baldwinsville. I'm one of the trustees on the board there. That's been just really eye-opening to the ins and outs of a church organization.
Are there services being online or Sunday services?
They are. I'm trying not to be biased in Heart, Home, and Community geared towards my church, right? So I make sure I try and hit St. Elizabeth Ann Seton and St. Mary's. The churches are doing a great job. They're all doing something a little bit different of getting it out there. Our church has a Facebook Sunday morning service at 9. And then the minister at our church, Reverend Mudge, he's actually going on every day and reading a portion of the Bible, which has been kind of cool. Because I've always wanted to read the Bible, Lisa. I've never done it. Now I can listen to it as he reads it to me. So I thought that was pretty cool.
That's wonderful. How can people click into that if they want to get that dose of scripture every day? Where do they click into that?
So you would go to the Baldwinsville First United Methodist Church's Facebook page. It's on there. And even the other churches that I mentioned as well, they all have Facebook pages, and within their Facebook page, they will promote, what they're doing to reach their congregation.
Okay.
In driving through the village today, there was something going on in one of the churches. There was a t-shirt drive or something. So they're reaching their congregation, and hopefully with social media, they're actually going farther. I know our congregation, we have people in Maine, Arizona sometimes that chime in. So it's been kind of cool.
I noticed somebody had put up signs everywhere. I don't know, be kind or pray, or do you know what signs I'm talking about?
I do. Yep, they're in the village of Baldwinsville. I actually saw a woman putting some of those signs up. So I don't know if that's an organization or not. The cool thing about that sign is, Lisa, nobody took credit for it. Nobody was to get like, whoa, look at us,
Right.
It was just a sign reminding people. So I don't know who to thank.
Well, I appreciated seeing it, because this is a hard time for everyone. So yeah. That was really nice. Well, Shelley, I'm so glad I at least got to hear about some of the things you do, and I hope everybody learned something new about you. I learned everything because I didn't know anything except that your face was everywhere, and I'm like, I gotta meet this Shelley. Get to know her.
I appreciate you coming and helping PAC-B as well, because they have so many programs and they're so short staffed. I don't know if people have noticed on Facebook, they're always looking for volunteers. So the fact that you're now one of the people at PAC, that's just great for the community, what you're going to bring as well. So I'm looking forward to your interviews.
Well, thank you. I had fun doing my first one on hand washing, on the nitty-gritties of hand washing, and I have a couple lined up, and hopefully they'll be forgiving too if I mess up on Zoom. So thank you for coming on Zoom and helping me figure out some of the things, and hopefully it gets on there. So thank you, Shelley. I will see you around, and thank you for watching us on PAC-B TV. Bye.